Hello, everyone, and welcome to Body Bags. I'm your reviewer for today. I'm the Night Walker from Horror Heaven77. Yes, please, if you do get a chance, check out my channel. If you like horror, I think you'll like what's on there. Now, let's see. We're gonna get to the reviews. That's right. We're reviewing two movies for the price of one today. This week we're doing the Halloween franchise, and I'm filling in today. And originally, the reviewer was going to do Halloween H20 and Halloween Resurrection. And so those are the movies that I'm going to be talking about today. And right off the bat, let's go ahead and say what we need to say. Okay. Halloween H20, ultimately, I think it's a fair film. I think it's kind of 50-50. It's not the best of the series, but it's definitely not the worst of the series. Halloween Resurrection, even though Halloween Resurrection, it's considered to be the bottom of the barrel of the Halloween franchise. It's considered to be the lowest of the low. How I feel about it, honestly, is I feel like it had some good ideas to it, but just it was really executed poorly. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll start off with Halloween H20. Now, it's kind of funny. Okay, now you get, Steve Miner, who directed Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3, to come and direct this movie. And one thing you're going to notice, okay, I'm going to kind of go ahead and mention this out of the way. One thing you're going to kind of notice about the Halloween franchise, over time, the sequels do tend to reflect on the era in which the movies were made. And what I mean by that is it's clear, okay, Halloween H20, 20 years later, obviously this movie came out in 1998. Because the original movie came out in 1978. So what was kind of the big thing going on at the time then? And that's when you had the wave of 90s slasher movies. I tend to think of them more as like teenage dramas, but they were supposed to be slasher movies. You had the Scream series, you had I Know What You Did Last Summer, you had Urban Legend, and things like that. And it's clear that one of the things they really tried to do with H20 is that they really tried to take Halloween and try to mold it into that era. They really tried to take Halloween and try to turn it into Scream. And if you don't believe me, go watch the movie, because for one thing, the musical score is not John Carpenter and Alan Howarth's music score, although there is a little hint of that at the beginning of the movie. The rest of the music score is from Scream. It's the music score from Scream. I kid you not. Go watch Halloween H20 again, and then go watch Scream. You'll find and listen to the music score. It's identical. It's completely the same. Also, too, the fact that supposedly Kevin Williamson is credited. Well, not credited, but Kevin Williamson did the uncredited writing work on the story. And Kevin Williamson is the guy who created Scream. You have the scene in the movie where Michelle Williams and Jodi Lynn O'Keefe, their characters, are watching Scream 2 on TV. So it's kind of clear what they were going for. But basically, long way around to a simple point, basically, is that that's kind of what was going on at the time. Was they decided to try to take Halloween and try to make it into Scream. Now, supposedly, Jamie Lee Curtis came up with the idea for the story and wanted to make the movie. And she was able to get Deborah Hill, bless her heart, she was able to get Deborah Hill on board, but the one person who would not, come aboard would be John Carpenter. He refused to have anything to do with it. And I'm not entirely sure all the details why, unless maybe he just didn't want to, I have to admit, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't watch all the bonus features on the disc, so I'm sure somebody right now out there is yelling at me, like, hey, dumbass, the reason why, is because of this, that, the other thing. But I didn't watch all the bonus features on the disc, but, just Carpenter was not involved like he is now with the new movies, which, that's the one thing I really wish. I really wish he could have done. See, the thing is, like I said, Halloween H20, it's not a bad movie. It's one of the more fair sequels. It's decent. But one thing I really would have liked if John Carpenter would come and do the score for H20 the way he did for Halloween 2018. That would have been awesome if he could have done that. And it would have felt, I think maybe that kind of would have made it feel a little bit more like a Halloween film. But anyway, let's get to the storyline. The storyline is pretty simple. It's 20 years later. You got Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis, who she's phenomenal in the movie. She knocks it out of the park. Of course, we know she's going to. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. But so anyways, 20 years later, she's still traumatized by the events of the original movie. For whatever reason, the whole Jamie Lloyd, excuse me, for whatever reason, the whole Jamie Lloyd story is completely done. Jamie Lloyd is never mentioned. It's never brought up. Nothing. Never hear a word of that. In this version, Laurie, she has a son named John, played by Josh Hartnett, who, whatever happened to that guy? It seemed like for a while there, I don't know, like the late 90s into the 2000s stuff, seemed like he was going to be a pretty big thing. He was going to be a big up and coming actor and all that kind of stuff. It's like now you never hear about him anymore. It's like just kind of seemed like he dropped off the face of the earth. But anyway, though, so you got Laurie. She's got her son John. She's the head of a private school, and she's still trying to deal with this whole thing. One of the ways she deals with it is by drinking. We find out she has a bit of an alcohol problem, and she's having not really affair, but she's kind of having a toward romance with one of the teachers in the school, played by Adam Arkin. And you get a nice cameo in here from Janet Leigh, who, Jamie Lee Curtis's mom. And, you even get a cameo by the car, the same make and model car that, not the same car itself, but the same make and model car that Janet Leigh drove in Psycho. So there was that nice little nod in there. And it's kind of neat to see mother and daughter act together in the small scene, even though they were in the fog together. So, but still, it was nice to see the two of them in this movie together. And the school is getting ready to shut down. It's gonna be shut down for like a few days. They're gonna have this big class trip. And John, at first, he wants to go, and he wants to go with his girlfriend, played by Michelle Williams. And at first, Laurie's like, "You're not going. I don't want you to leave. I want to make sure you're here where you're safe and everything else." So the two of them are fighting about it and stuff. So he ends up, what John decides to do, him and his buddy, they decide, well, how about, and the girls, they decide on this too. They decide, well, how about if instead of going to, this, I think it was Yosemite, instead of going there for this trip and everything else, why don't we stay here, and we can sneak into town. We can get, like some wine or something, get some good stuff. And we can have our own little Halloween party here. And the girls go for it and stuff like that. And so they decide, they'd rather do this. And they sneak into town. Well, at the time they sneak into town, Laurie's having lunch with her boyfriend. And, she's seeing Michael everywhere she looks. Sorry, my throat's dry. But unbeknownst to her, at the same time, Michael, at the beginning of the movie, very similar to Scream, we have this kind of opening segment, which you have a character that you think might play, a part throughout the whole movie, which is the nurse, Nurse Nancy, or Nurse Marion, played by Nancy Stevens. And, we see her house gets broken into. We find out Michael Myers did it to get the information to find out where Laurie is. And two boys, one of them is actually Joseph Gordon-Levitt. They stay with her till the police come. And so she goes back into her house. She realizes Michael's there. And then, she goes and finds out they've been killed and she gets killed too. Sorry for the spoiler. But anyway, so now, Michael has found out where she is. And so he goes there to try to track her down. And, you got this, one of the best parts in the movie is the security guard to the school, played by LL Cool J. He's a lot of fun and he's very likable. And he's working as a security guard, but he wants to be a writer. And it turns out he's trying to write these really trashy kind of romance novels and stuff. And his wife is kind of, so he's like big, voluptuous, melon breasts. And she's like, what the hell is that shit? So you got some good humor and stuff in there, some good character stuff. But finally, Laurie does decide that she's going to go ahead and let John go. But by now, his girlfriend and their friends, they decide, they much rather just hang back and have their little Halloween celebration and stuff like that. So they decide they're going to stick around. So, they're hanging back. Michael shows up. Chaos ensues. The body count starts up, which admittedly, kind of like the first Halloween movie, this one doesn't really have a very huge body count. So if you're going into H2O hoping for, like lots and lots of kills, sorry, not really going to happen. You get a few, but not many. If you're going into H2O hoping for a lot of blood and gore and everything, you're screwed on that one because, like I said, this is following the trend of the 90s slashers, and so they were really, really trying to tone down horror movies at this point. It was at the point where, for crying out loud, they were even trying to, like, any kind of a horror movie that was coming out, they really tried to, like, advertise it as something completely different. It's like when From Dusk Till Dawn came out, and Miramax would do everything in their power not to call it a horror film. They would call it, because Robert Rodriguez directed, they call it action adventure. So I mean, they were shying away. They were steering away from calling anything a horror film. And this was come out around that time. But so anyway, so you got a little bit of a body count, no gore, any of that stuff. A lot of Scream soundtrack music, and then finally you get to the third act, which is the showdown between Michael and Laurie, and that's a lot of fun, some good action, some good suspense, some good jumps, good scares, and everything else. So, the movie, like I said, it's fair. It's definitely not the best in the series, but certainly not the worst by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's kind of, in the middle myself. Like I said, that's kind of it. Truth be told, for me personally, it's like a lot of the other stuff I can just kind of do without. When I go to watch the movie, I just want to really get to the Michael Laurie showdown, which it pays off. That's the best part, though, too. That's what I really love about it. When we get to the the finale, when the battle begins, it does pay off. So I got to give it credit for that. Now I'm not gonna give away too much more. Otherwise, this video would be like 3 hours long. I don't think anybody wants to sit through that. So anyway, so that's H2O. Like I said, pretty much middle of the road, pretty good. Not great, but not terrible either. Now we're gonna get to Resurrection. Oh boy. Okay. Okay. Resurrection, like I said, I think that the movie has some decent ideas, but the execution is incredibly poor. And the sad thing is Resurrection was directed by Rick Rosenthal, who directed the original Halloween 2. And that movie's fantastic. The movie opens with what easily has to be, the first 10 minutes, easily has to be the worst opening in a horror film I've ever seen in my life. That one is pretty poor. Funny enough, though, for me personally, this is just my personal opinion. For me personally, out of all the Halloween movies, the absolute worst one has to be Curse of Michael Myers. I'm sorry. To me, I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, but I'm sorry. To me, that one is by far the worst. Anyway, so getting back to point. So you open up with, now Laurie Strode. She's in an insane asylum. And we learn through this little story, little montage, that what ended up happening was the whole finale of H2O was all kind of bullshit. We find out that, she did fight Michael, but the thing was, when the paramedics go in, an EMT goes to try to help Michael. Well, Michael grabs the EMT by the throat and ends up crushing his neck, or crushing his voice box so he can't speak. So he ends up switching his uniform with the EMT. And so Michael's able to just kind of slip away unnoticed somehow or another, but he manages to slip away unnoticed. And so when at the end of H2O, when she thinks that she's, when she goes to steal the ambulance with Michael Myers in it, it turns out it's actually this paramedic. And so, now she's traumatized because not only she go through all this, supposedly she killed an innocent person. But it's coming up on Halloween night, and Laurie, she knows Michael's coming. And so they've been giving her medicine to keep her, pretty much sedated. And but we find out she's got this teddy bear, and the teddy bear has a little hiding place. So she takes the medication they've been giving her, stashing it away, so she's not taking her medicine. And then so Michael comes, and Laurie tries to set a trap for him, but he ends up doing this thing that makes Laurie think that she's making a mistake like she did before. And then when she goes to, she's like, I have to check, I have to be sure. And so Michael grabs her and everything, and they fall over the side of the building, and he stabs her. And Laurie Strode is dead, which I get the idea. Okay, I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand the idea. Supposedly, like, H20 was meant to finish the series once and for all. It was meant to be the final nail in the coffin. After this, there was never going to be another Halloween movie, all this other kind of stuff. This was meant to be the rousing climax to it all. Okay, maybe that's why John Carpenter didn't direct H20. He knew, it's like all this movie has to do is make money, and they're going to keep making them. You sit here all you want, talk about how this is going to be the last one. All this thing's got to do is be a hit. They'll make another one. So, but anyway, though, so Laurie Strode is dead, which nobody likes that idea. Nobody wanted that, but I believe the idea was that they were going to continue the series on, and Jamie Lee Curtis said, that's it, I'm out. If you're not going to kill off Michael Myers, at least kill off my characters so I don't have to be in them anymore. Funny now when you think about it, huh? But anyway, so they kill her off, and now we start with the rest of the story. Like I said, the first 10 minutes is easily like the worst first opening to a movie I've ever seen in my life. Now we go to the main story. We have this producer, Freddie, played by Busta Rhymes, is coming up on Halloween night. Now, going back to what I said, the Halloween movies kind of reflect the times in which they were made in. And one of the things that was really becoming a thing, really becoming big, was web series on the internet and reality shows. That was starting to become a big thing now. And so they decided, wow, hey, let's do this thing where they're going to do this, web series reality show in the Michael Myers house. So you got Freddie, played by Busta Rhymes, and his friend, played by Tyra Banks, who they decide that they're going to take this group of boys and girls. They're going to, attach them all with cameras, and the house is going to be rigged with cameras and stuff. And they're going to have them go inside the Myers house, and they're going to do this, this big show. And, of course, a lot of this, they know that, if they go in there, they're not going to really find anything. So they got to, Freddie and his people, they're rigging stuff. They're, stashing stuff away so that they can find it and everything else. And so they go in and they start searching around, and easily, I think, for a lot of people, I think this movie, Resurrection, probably has to have the most annoying group of people in any Halloween movie. I don't know. I mean, I think they're kind of like neck and neck between the Rob Zombie movies and this one. I don't know, but I know a lot of people just find the characters in this movie incredibly annoying. And so they go in, they start doing their web series, and, they're finding all this stuff. And one of the guys is actually, right off the bat, he says, this is too easy. It's like, something's not right here. This shit feels rigged. It feels like it's like, it doesn't seem like this stuff should be so easy for us to find it. It feels like, we should be, it feels like this stuff should be like away in an evidence locker or something like that. So, but as they're searching around, then, guess who comes to, Michael Myers. He comes home, and he sees these people in his home. And so he goes and, starts taking them all out one by one. You got one of the kids from American Pie. What's his name? Thomas Ian Nicholas, I want to say his name is, from American Pie. Yeah, he's in this, like one of the female characters. He's constantly hitting on her all the time. And try doing that today. His ass will be so sued. Anyway, but yeah. So you got him. You got, I'm sorry, I forget the actor's name, but he was in the movie Save the Last Dance. And, you got some other people too. And then Michael comes in, the body count starts going. And now, like one of the things that, really irritated a lot of people about this was Busta Rhymes' character. The character of Freddie. Okay, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to give away too much, but, you got the scene where Freddie breaks in and kung fu fights with Michael Myers. Now, that could have been done better, okay? I'm not saying that, a guy like him could never, ever do martial arts, but the thing is, watching Jackie Chan movies or watching Jet Li movies is not going to make you a kung fu master. What they should have done is in the beginning, like the scene where Freddy's in his hotel room, he's watching the kung fu movie. Okay, that's all fine and good, but they should have like shown that he does, not only does he watch kung fu movies, but he is studying martial arts. He is a student of the martial arts. So that would have probably made that seem a little bit more realistic. So I mean, the idea this guy can kung fu fight Michael Myers just because he's seen, Rumble in the Bronx or something like that is not gonna, to a lot of people, that's a stupid idea. Another scene, that I think really bothered people with the Freddy character was when he's, like I said, they're doing plants around the house. So Freddy decides he's going to sneak in dressed as Michael Myers. He's going to go and scare everybody. And so he's walking in there dressed as Michael Myers, but the real Michael Myers shows up behind him. So he turns around and he starts chewing him out, what are you doing here? And all this stuff. And, I left the back door open for you. Go find, I forget the character's name. Go find her. He's talking about Tyra Banks' character. Go find her, Now, in any other Halloween movie, Michael Myers wouldn't have put up with that shit for 2 seconds. Especially when he's in there, hey man, what's up? What's up? Your shit ain't working? What's up, man? What's up? In any other Halloween movie, Michael Myers would have grabbed his arm and broke it in like 3 places. And then just would have, shoved a butcher knife down its throat. But instead, what does Michael Myers do in this one? He just kind of like, then turns around and goes out and kills Tyra Banks' character, which we never see it. It might be in the deleted scenes, I don't know. But as far as I know, we never see Tyra Banks' character get killed off. We just find out in the 3rd act that she's dead. But, and then he's just in there, like, damn, what the fella got to do to get a little decent help up in this motherfucker, So I think a lot of people were kind of really, like, the humor was not hitting with a lot of people. And the characters were just overall annoying. And just, unfortunately, I think, kind of like the whole thing was you had just this group of people that I think everybody was just waiting for them to get killed. Now, when I go back to saying, like, this could have been executed better. Sorry about this. What I mean by that is you could have had, see, if Jamie Lee Curtis, stayed throughout the whole movie, that would have been great. If you had basically Jamie Lee Curtis kind of, move into the role of Dr. Loomis, where she knows they're doing this stuff at the Myers house. She knows Michael's going to be there. And so she goes to, make sure that things don't go, off the rails. And when they do go off the rails, she's there and her and Mike fight again. That would have been much better than that, lousy 10-minute opening that we got. Now, I will say, though, I do have to admit, the idea was actually kind of keen about doing the web series in the house. I thought that was actually kind of a neat idea that the main female character, she had this friend that, he was watching her and, like they're, I like the idea that they brought modern technology into it. I know at times it's going to make the movie feel dated, but I like the idea that they brought modern technology into it and that they're using that technology to try to help. He's using it to try to help get her to safety, and everything else. So I thought that was actually kind of a neat idea. I thought that was kind of cool the way that was done. But yeah, but just just certain things, the way it was handled, the humor, everything else. But at the end, I just don't really consider it the worst movie. It's definitely up there, but I don't consider it the above all worst movie in the series because, like I said, it has some ideas that I like. I just think it could have been handled better. Excuse me. I think the characters could have been a lot less, getting on your nerves. The main female character, she's not bad, but she's just kind of there. She doesn't really add much, she's, some of the other characters, they're kind of like, goofballs, but not in a fun way, and they're all there just trying, you got like this one girl, she's just, she's one of those kind of like girls that's like always trying to show everybody how incredibly smart she is and stuff like that. So yes. And then, you got this one guy who's supposed to be the bad boy. He looks like in fact, it may be old Masterson from that 70s show. It looks like him, but, and he's supposed to be the pervy guy, but like a heart of gold kind of thing. And he's constantly hitting on this smart girl all the time. Like, hey, what's her name, Jen or something like that? I don't remember. You got great legs. What time did they open? And she flips them off. It's like, so is that 1 o'clock? And so, like I said, just uh, but yeah, just I mean, it has some good ideas. It just could have been done better. That's it. I think that's about all I'm gonna say. This video is already going on way too long already, but we are talking about 2 movies. But yeah, I mean, Halloween H2O definitely one of the better ones in the series, and I recommend it. For me personally, the Carpenter trilogy 1, 2, and 3, those are my all-time favorites. 4 I really like. 5, 6 I think is absolutely the worst one. 7 I think is good. It's decent. It's fair. 8, like I said, for me, parts of it are watchable, but like I would definitely skip the first 10 minutes or so. But it's not all. It's yeah. I want to say it's not altogether horrible, but that's kind of push it. But it's not the worst thing I've seen. But it's just a matter of personal taste. Now the Rob Zombie movies I'll get to, but that's going to wrap it up for now. So yeah, I say go ahead. Yeah, H2O, definitely give it a shot, and Resurrection, give it a shot, but enter at your own risk. That's what I'll say. So anyway, if anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I also hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like on the video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Body Bags channel. There's a different video every day of the week, Monday through Sunday. I'm the Saturday reviewer. We got, great guys. They're all doing great stuff, and, everybody's, bringing their own flavor to it and everything else. You've already heard the other reviewers say this, but so yeah, please come back, and anyway, take care, and have a good night. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.